So much, everybody, for being here, for your amazing work. It's just outstanding. So thank you. If you want to just take that and pass it along. Well, first you're going to talk, but and just first state your name and the project that you worked on.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Saj DeWaite, and I worked on Wormholes.
Hey, I'm Shara Ashley Seiger, and my film's I Mustache You. Hi, I'm Napier Rose Boykin. I wrote and directed Aisle 2.
Testing. Hey, my name is David Antoine, and I wrote and produced the film Blaze.
Hi, my name is Shauna Sorensen, and my film was the first film, Intersect, one of the dance shorts.
My name is Walter Montiel, and I worked on Who Drunk It.
Hold the mic, Walter, because we're starting with you and going back the other way. What's a film or TV show that influenced your own filmmaking style?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming. This is a lot more people than I expected to be here, so this is really, really nice to see a full room. And probably for this, it's a lot of like Steven Soderbergh. I watch a lot of his movies, and this was a sequence that I kind of stole from one of his and just decided to make it into a little murder mystery. So a lot of Steven Soderbergh's work.
Very cool. And I don't know if you realize, so we had the 555 film contest this year, and you had to have, it was basically 5 or fewer people had to make a film that was 5 or less minutes, and you had 5 days to make it. Was that the? I was like, what were the parameters? And and we gave them a few rules, and one was like you had to have a character from Astoria, you had to mention or sing a Tony Bennett song. So that's if that's why some of it. Yes. It had to have a prop too, right? The hat. I think
Yes,
hat.
is that why I'm wearing a
Yes,
Astoria
that's why
hat?
you're wearing the hat.
I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm a dancer. I did not film it. I did not edit it. The wonderful Janine, I'm going to butcher her last name, Michinelli, I think, edited J9 Pictures. So I'm not going to tell you my favorite filmmaker, but I will tell you 2 of my mentors that I dance with and I've trained with that helped me kind of conceptualize this. So Jennifer Nugent, who's a fabulous modern dancer, and Kendra Portier, who's also a fabulous modern dancer. A lot of their training and their classes are done through like improvisational movement. So when we shot this, what I wanted to do is everything was improv, nothing was planned. It was all just like spatial pathways and stuff like that. So that's what inspired what I created.
Very cool.
I would say that this is my 3rd film, and a lot of my films focus on the protagonist having an internal conflict. So I love movies that talk about things like that. Movies that, you know, have the main character pretty much going against themselves in a particular situation. I love situations like that. So one of my favorite films was Black Swan, A Beautiful Mind. Us was also very excellent. So those are the types of films that pretty much influenced me, and that's what inspired me to actually make this film.
Very cool.
I'm going to get an F in this, just right off the bat.
No, it's not like that. It's just meant to encourage you to talk.
Yes.
Like, it's not a test.
It's very hard. Thank you. It's very hard for me to say like a one thing because I'm a kid of the 80s and I'm probably the oldest person up here, so I've seen a lot of movies and I'm influenced by a lot of movies. And then on top of that, my mother loved oldies, you know, black and whites. So I grew up watching a little bit of everything. I would say I'm probably most influenced as a genre by like 80 kind of rom-coms, and I like movies that where there's strength in women, but also not to take yourself too seriously. I like to laugh. I know I'm in a drama category here, but I like to laugh, and I hope you guys laugh too. So I like characters that have depth, but also can also laugh at anything at any moment in time. So this film was influenced by a couple of different places. Visually, the movement and the storytelling was very much Buster Keaton, Alice Guy Blaché, which is very cool screening here because of Buster Keaton. But also like old commedia. I was very much writing like Commedia dell'arte Lazzi. I was also on a replacement list for Cirque for a long time, and so it was influenced that world too. But the storytelling, I mean, the New York Nora Ephron stuff, I can never seem to get away from. But visually, the color journey went from, we were very much inspired from starting from a green, dingy place a la Shape of Water to move into a more punchy palette like Joker. So that by the end you're hitting more of like a Wes Anderson film.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. So no thought at all.
Not at all. No thought.
That's awesome.
For Wormholes, it's actually super collaborative. I'm one of the 3 show dogs who started the season 1, but for season 2, I would say it's actually really influenced by the fact that all of our friends really loved season 1 and they wanted a season 2. And so then we had new writers on, like AB and our other friend EJ, who wrote the music for it. And so myself, Gamal, Conrado, AB, and EJ, we kind of had this beautiful brain baby after season 1 came out, and we said, how do we do this thing that was so tiny and more sitcom-y and, you know, in one apartment, and we go to season 2 and we make it bigger and badder. And so kind of just being in a room together and hashing all of that out is what like brought us to season 2. So yeah.
Organic growth.
Exactly.
What's the worst piece of advice you've ever gotten from anyone about filmmaking?
Let's say the second half of what you just said. Worst piece of advice.
What's the worst piece of advice you've ever gotten from anyone about filmmaking?
I don't know if it's advice, but I guess the idea that there are rules. I mean, you know, I think that like art and film is kind of like, it can be whatever it wants to be. I was a theater kid mostly before we started making Wormholes, and so bringing that into filmmaking, I think, was something that we definitely broke the rules with because we didn't know. And I think that kind of brought a charm that maybe if we were only thinking about making film a very specific way, that it wouldn't have been there. So, yeah.
Love that.
Stay in your lane.
Oof.
And it doesn't count if you give it to yourself. Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, I hate that shit's over now. People, multi-hyphenates are being more embraced today, and it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. Yeah. 2 for me. 1 was, doesn't matter how much money you have, you can shoot it. You don't have any money, that's okay, you can still shoot it. That's not true. And you need money. And then on top of it, one of my best friends who's here in the audience right now, she gave me some advice, Jamie. She gave me the advice to just shoot it myself, which at the moment seemed like the worst freaking advice ever, which ended up being the best freaking advice ever. So, thanks, Jane, for believing in a sister. Just to turn it back around, I think whatever the worst advice is as a filmmaker, you need to find what works for you and turn lemons into lemonade for yourself, no matter what anybody else says.
Like that.
So
You got lemonade, girl.
I would say I had one filmmaker say that it was all right to just cut a lot of corners and just do like a simple run and gun shoot. Run and gun shoots are like get in, get out, finished, so that we can save money. I did that on my second film, and it was a disaster. It was just terrible. Like everything just went wrong, and I will say that I had a really great team to help me put this film together. I had a really great AD, I had a really great editor, and I had some really great actors. I had a sound guy. I had everything in the pocket to make sure that this film went together well. Because I think if you try to cut corners, just to save money, sometimes it can go left and just like really bad. So I'm just grateful that I had such a really great team. And I think that the worst advice is to, like, just for the purpose of, trying to save money for a film, sometimes that can go bad, It took a lot of innovative thinking and creative power to make sure that this worked. So, yeah, I would say that. But guys, if you ever make a film, I would say do your best to make sure that you have a really strong team.
Yeah.
Or like a really great team, because if you don't, it's just gonna go kaput.
A lot of nods, down the line. A lot of nods.
I guess that worst piece of advice, that wanting to do a project or wanting to complete something wasn't possible because of like location. That it might be too public, it might be too in the way of people, it's just not gonna work, which from experience, and I've done other short dance films and I've done a lot of site-specific performance, you can make anything happen anywhere, as long as you're gonna be flexible. So when people say, no, you're not gonna be able to do that, I'm like, let's just wait, we'll work it out, we can figure it out. So yeah, I guess that.
I don't know if anybody ever really gave me terrible advice, but I think when I was starting out in the industry, I worked with a lot of filmmakers who I think read somewhere that in order to be taken seriously as a director, you have to be an asshole. And I just never really found that to be true, and I just think that like you can run a set based around respect and the dignity of every single crew member and just not have it be a terrible time and still come up with something that's good. I know that my crew is here and they're all like, what are you talking about? You're the biggest jerk we know. They'll be dealt with accordingly for the public's sake.
I
think.
heard some snaps. I don't know if it was your crew.
No, I don't think we work together though. Yeah, that was.
What was your favorite part of making this film that you showed?
I think it was like, well, basically, when we were starting, we were ready to shoot something else, and then someone in the group chat said the best thing that any director wants to hear, which is we have access to a property in Vermont. And I'm like, you show me a property in Vermont, I'll show you where to put the camera. And so we came up with the short very quickly, and everybody just kind of brought their best idea. And I'm interested in like doing weird things in terms of visual grammar, so we came up with the split screen whodunit idea. And I think just how quickly everything came together and how of a piece the idea felt, I think that's what I was most proud of.
Awesome.
Wait, say the question one more time.
What was your favorite part of making this film?
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, my favorite part was probably seeing the final product, because me and the other dancer didn't shoot together at all. So I don't know what she did.
Oh, wow.
I just gave her concepts and ideas and pathways, and she did it. And then when J9 sent us the first edit, and we were like overlapping and doing all this, and I was like, whoa, that's great. And so I think that was my favorite part, was seeing it like, oh, it actually came together. That was kind of cool.
My favorite part of making this film is just making it, because it was written during COVID. Everything was just really difficult for actors and writers, to get filming locations and yada yada yada. I had to get everybody tested for COVID, stuff like that, to make sure that and I had to make sure that this was like a COVID-free set. But as soon as we got on set, we were so excited to just start creating again, because we hadn't created in so long. So as soon as we got on, like, the energy was just so high. We were just so happy to, have all of these artists together in one room just creating. And it was beautiful, it was fun, and I just loved it. So I think that my favorite part was just, creating it. I think that was my favorite part.
Getting it done.
Yeah.
When it didn't seem possible.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part, I too shot in COVID, and funny enough, I wrote this film while I live in Los Angeles now with my family, but I wrote this film while living in New York over 10 years ago.
Wow.
I didn't get to shoot it because I got engaged and got married and then had kids, and then this film never got made, even though like we had a fundraiser over in Riverdale, like it just never got made. So when I finally got a chance to shoot it, I think the favorite moment was getting into a New York Film Festival, because it just came full circle that this film that was just kind of dear to me and fun to me was written on the streets of New York, just me being single, walking up and down the streets and thinking, what if there were consequences to heartbreak? And so after you get a lot of no's and a couple of yeses and a lot of no's, it was really nice to get a yes back here in New York City. So thank you, Astoria Film Festival.
I loved playing. I mean, we planned so much. We went on like crazy detailed scouts, and did a lot of pictures and even small videos so that my DP would know exactly what I wanted. Because it's funny you talk about run and gun shoots. We made a film with 15 locations in 3 days, which was a little insane. So it was very run and gun, and we were playing with new toys, we were playing with a Snorri cam in Times Square, and discovering things. I mean, the script was very much written out, but we totally went rogue in the Queens Center Mall, and we had a series of shots that were this one's the most important, and then we're gonna get kicked out, and then this one's the most important, and then we got through everything, and they were so cool. And then there were those friggin' animals the kids were riding around, and I'm like, Abby needs to play.
Yes.
And so it was just that discovery and that collaborative nature on set, with a team that was just so supportive of my funky little vision, that it was just so much fun.
So was the guard an actual guard, or was he an actor?
The guard.
In the film, at the mall, who joins you in your play?
Who joins me in the mall?
Isn't there a guard who joins you with the... Maybe.
No.
Sorry. Okay, never mind.
Anyway, so most of the people in the film that were in the film with me, most of them were just New Yorkers, and my PAs held up a sign that were if you cross this line, you are agreeing
that's what
to
I'm saying.
be...
A lot of it looked like that. And a lot of the judges' comments about the film were, New York is another character.
Yep.
And that was really, I thought, very, a big compliment.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very much you are agreeing to play with me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of the idea of play. I mean, the whole Wormholes too is with all of our friends. That's just everybody who's doing everything is a really close friend of ours, and so being able that, obviously COVID's not over, but when we were filming it in a time where it was a little bit, it didn't feel as scary for some of us because we could get vaccinated and all that other fun stuff. The idea that we could be in a space together and like let this world kind of grow, and then all of our friends could actually be in a room, and it wasn't, you know, hi, you're on a screen and like, you know, filming from somewhere else. I was like, I can hold you and hug you. I think all of that made it really kind of beautiful and fun. So yeah.
Awesome, yeah. Guys, thank you so very much for being a part of the festival. What time are we at?
4. It's 10 to 6.
Okay, well, we have 10 minutes if anybody wants to take any pictures in front of Stepperfy, if you weren't there last night and you want to do that. Or if anyone has any other questions they want to ask the panel, I could open it up. Requests, songs, do you guys sing? Yes?
I have a logistical question. So for those of you who shot in public locations, particularly I'm thinking about the grocery store and Makeup Forever, I'm curious like how you secured those locations, like as an indie filmmaker.
So some of the locations were run and gun in public, but Jill Lindsay, which is a boutique in Brooklyn, which was like the store that we pretended was in the mall.
Oh, I was gonna be like, what store is that in Queens Center Mall? I'm like, that's not in Queens Center Mall.
Jill Lindsay, it's on Fulton Street in Fort Greene. It's lovely. But then Makeup Forever was the other one. Those two became space sponsors for me. So I'm fiscally sponsored. So I was able to give them a nice little write-off, and I kind of pitched them the idea of this film about self-love, and it was in line with, you know, their brand, and they shut down their store for 5 hours and gave it to me.
Wow.
It was a beautiful thing. And the guy that was in the store was like the one guy working that like was like present for Makeup Forever, and I was like, can I use you in the shop? Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big deal. I live in LA, so I was shooting in LA, and you would think, oh, it's Hollywood, it should be easy. It is the worst place to try to shoot locations. You have to have a rep, even I wrote this film with elevators because I was living in New York. It's not hard to get an elevator in New York. In LA, it is extremely hard just to get an elevator because you have to pay a lot of money for it. But to answer your question, I went local. I live in an area called Baldwin Hills View Park, Windsor Hills. It is middle-class African-American community with lots of culture, and I just knocked on doors in my community. There's a local grocery store. I talked to old boy. We made an arrangement, but it was a lot of, for the filmmaker, it is a lot of just being present yourself and not having someone else do it, but literally not my producer. I'm a producer, but nobody else was scouting but me as the filmmaker, because I needed face-to-face and tell them they could trust me. So the cafe, the restaurant, and the grocery store that is really a bodega that we kind of made look like a grocery store, but they were just really caring and giving, and they wanted, if they see you like genuine and just passionate about your project, most of the time I've found people are really, really cool about it. They want you to win, so don't be afraid to just ask. Just ask.
Other questions?
Oh,
Sorry.
so in terms of locations, I was on a website called Peerspace and Gigster. That's pretty much where I picked all of my locations. What you can do is you can talk to the owner of the place, and you can tell them that you want to film something, and you just make an agreement with them, in terms of price and things like that. I had booked a certain amount of hours for the film, and I was lucky that I was able to get all my shots and a good amount of takes, and So I would definitely recommend those sites.
Cool, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. You're wonderful. And feel free to do whatever. The next group comes in at 6:30.